This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
Away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshopper, crunchy.
There have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
There you go. Issues and answers. WNBF as we begin another broadcast day. Thank you for being with us at 9:11. And we take a moment to remember those we lost on September 11th, 2001. This is Binghamton Now, and the lines are open for you, 607-772-1290. The debate is over, and America witnessed it all.
Today was a good day, and it kind of was. But we have 56 days to go, and guys, we're still the underdogs in this race. It's tight.
See a theme, dogs. Who thought that America's favorite pets would become such a topic in the 2024 presidential election? Let's see what else is going on here as we check out our major stack of stuff. We always come in with a stack of stuff, and some days we don't use a whole lot, and some days we use quite a bit. Probably be availing ourselves of this giant stack of stuff because there was a lot of stuff produced during the televised debate. Let's see. Oh, listen to this. Here is part of the big debate. The Republican candidate said, he is responding to criticism from the Democratic candidate about the high turnover during his administration, and he was charged. The Republican candidate said he fired most of those people, something he said that the current White House could have done more of.
They have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody.
I'm not sure that that's accurate. There was a big endorsement shortly after the debate concluded. A well-known American announced on social media that she planned to cast her ballot for the Democratic candidate in November. The Republican candidate was making his way through the post-debate spin room in Philadelphia, and somebody asked him about the endorsement of his fellow American.
What is your reaction to Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris?
I have no idea.
What? Did he say I have no idea?
What is your reaction to Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, what else here? Let's see, more from the Republican candidate. He shared an ominous prediction about the fate of the Middle East should the Democratic candidate become president January 20th.
If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one.
It's like a magic 8-ball. Seems kind of hazy. The Democratic candidate claimed the Republican supporters actually leave his rallies early out of what she called boredom.
During the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
She mentioned the shark. On the other hand, the Republican candidate is proud of the gatherings that he holds to give his supporters an opportunity to demonstrate their adulation.
she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back.
Democratic candidate responded to his claims that he left office with the best economy in the history of the USA.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess.
The Republican candidate responded quickly.
The only jobs they got were bounce-back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back, and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
All right, that's a sample from our gigantic stack of stuff. I'm sure we'll hear more from the big stack of stuff throughout the morning. So, in your professional opinion, who do you think won? I'm sure you watched it, as did millions of other people around the world. Even people in Canada were watching. So you can kind of imagine who they were supporting. So, again, in your personal opinion, who was the big winner last night? This was the biggest, most important debate in the history of America. The importance of this broadcast session cannot be overemphasized. 607-772-1290. So if you have some thoughts, feel free to share them with us right here on News Radio WNBF. I'm Bob Joseph, on air at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, and streaming at WNBF.com. WNBF at 9:21. Let's take some calls. Let's go to the hotlines. Paul in West Windsor. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. You asked for people's opinions, and here I am.
All right. What say you?
Okay, so I agree with Vivek Ramaswamy. The moment that was the best in the debate is when Trump asked Kamala to go down to Washington with Joe and pass an order to close the border. You can do this right now, he says. You can go right down there now and you can shut down the border. And she didn't know what to say. She was just blank.
All right. And so who won?
So, well, that's the biggest thing, I think, that he won. But it was no contest. He was more articulate. He was more articulate, and he acted more presidential than she did. It appeared that she was memorizing everything that she had to say, and it looked painful for her to try to remember what she had to say. So I think he won the debate.
Should there be another debate?
I don't think so. It'll be the same thing all over again.
All right. Did you watch the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. I watched every word. And I made a comment on Facebook. I said, on Facebook, let's see. I'm tired of Biden and Harris reimagining America for 2.5 years. We need Trump back. That's simply what I said.
All right. Well, I appreciate your call, and we're going to see what the other viewers have to say.
You asked for it.
That's what I want. That's exactly what I want. I wish more people would call. Unfortunately, apparently people are afraid to actually call in.
Well, you're not scary.
Yeah, they're afraid to discuss the debate. Apparently, they've been muzzled.
Well, they're pouring a cup of coffee, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to eat for breakfast.
Well, it's a shame. It's a shame. I want to know who won. I watched it. I want to hear from the viewers who they think actually won.
Vivek Ramaswamy says Trump won.
All right. All right. Appreciate your call. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
924 at WNBF. Well, that's the burning question. Who actually won? I thought David Muir won. He was a kid from Syracuse. I've never seen a kid from Syracuse actually be a moderator at a presidential debate. So I think the big winner overall was David Muir. So congratulations to Mr. Muir, a host of World News Tonight. So I think he was the biggest winner during the broadcast. Vinny from Binghamton, who do you think won?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, so many things happened last night. And like I've been talking about for a long time, I saw what you saw last night was a man that Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, and Chris Christie told you about. This is a man out of control. Okay, and at this
How
point,
so? How so?
Bob, I was waiting for you to talk about the eating the cats and the dogs.
We did right at the top of the thing.
You?
If you tuned in, that was. Oh, don't think for a minute that it was lost on me. That was one of the biggest and most serious issues. I mean, when you start talking about our pets during a presidential debate, I say you really had better tread lightly. I mean, in case people didn't hear it, this is what we ran.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
That's what he said on TV. But then listen to what David Muir had to say.
Yes.
In response to that, David Muir, a Syracuse native, pointed this out.
There have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food.
So he saw it on television.
Yeah, that's
probably on the John Hannity show.
Yep, caught him right in the lie. Well, we'll have to check.
Well, somebody might have said it on TV. You know, there now are billions of channels in the universe, so I wouldn't doubt on some channel somebody said that, probably from Springfield, probably somebody from The Simpsons in Springfield said someone ate their dog. It's probably one of those cartoon episodes that you would see on the Fox.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, what I saw last night was exactly what we've been talking about, and Harris supporters, Biden supporters, we've been talking about with this guy. This guy is so out of control. He doesn't listen to anybody. Now, I heard your previous caller, Paul, talk about going down and talk about the borders. Do you know to this day, it's now 9:26. He did not answer one of the most important questions last night because he went off it. And they asked him, Kamala Harris asked him about that border bill that we had. And why did you call these other congressmen to shut it down? Go back and watch that. Look, he never answered it. He hasn't answered it yet. Why did you do that? Why did you call these congressmen and shoot that border bill down? And she went through 3 bullet points of what that did. It talked about more people on the border. It talked about more the lawyers and down there to help these things, to get these people through, to catch these things. He shot it down. He he didn't, but he never answered it. So you know what? I hope they do have another. I hope they do have.
I hope they have at least 2 or 3 more. You know, leaving it at 1, and it wasn't long enough either. I'd say at least 3 more, and they should be at least 3 hours, and there should be no commercial interruptions. I don't want any breaks.
Yep. I want them to bring up that phone call that was all taped when he was looking for more votes down in Georgia. I want that to come up. I want them to bring this border bill and he said, listen, you have never answered this border bill, so I want to know about it. And this man still believes that the election was stolen. I can't wait until November 4th, after this election, when this guy...
You mean November 6th? The election will be on the 5th. I mean, don't confuse people. The election, if you're planning to vote this year, will be November 5th. So on the morning of November 6th, will you promise to call in?
Oh, my God, yes, Bob. And hey, when he won, when Donald Trump won, I called in. As a matter of fact, I think it was Dave from Vestal said, I bet you Vinny's not going to call in here anymore. No, I'm not. I'm going to call in.
Well, it's true. You weren't dissuaded. You weren't dissuaded. I don't think you skipped a beat, even though your candidate lost.
Exactly. Because I said it is what it is.
And did you call on people who were disappointed or dismayed or disgruntled after that election where the Republican candidate won? Did you call on the Democrats who were unhappy with the outcome to go to Washington to throw a fit and storm the Capitol?
No, I didn't, Bob. No. See, that's sacred ground. That's kind of like when he talked about last night, he talked about that cop who shot that lady climbing in the window. And you know what happens, Bob, to me? It's unfortunate, but, we got doors that you're supposed to come in. And when they're closed and locked, you don't try to come in.
Well, I've said that before with respect to federal property, whether it's our Capitol or the federal building on Henry Street, a block from here. Even if those security guards at the federal building know me, and I think most of them do, they would be well within their rights of exercising or utilizing lethal force if I refuse to get out when they said get out of the building. You're in an area where you haven't been invited. This is government property. We're going to tell you once more to leave the building or else. And now they probably wouldn't resort to lethal force. I think under federal law they would have the right to do that, especially if I brought hundreds of my friends.
Absolutely. And Bob, let me just say this about Kamala Harris too. What I saw last night, I liked the way when she was talking, she didn't just turn her head; she turned her whole upper part, the whole body, talking to this guy. I like that. I like her voting record. I like how she was talking. Talk about fracking and she wants to ban fracking in Pennsylvania. And she's from California. They got fracking all out there in California. My brother's been.
They're even drilling for oil on school property in Los Angeles Unified School District. Take a look. They've got oil wells on school property. That's how much they love oil in California. So anyway, appreciate your call, Vinny. Thanks. It's 9:31. You're listening to News Radio, WNBF and WNBF.com. Oh, no. Hey, Wise, good morning to you. Wegmans, good morning to you. Whatever. This time is sponsored by Bob Joseph. Let's see, the weather looks delightful. It's a nice spate of good weather. Everybody, after we get 2 or 3 really nice days in a row, people start saying, well, we're going to pay for this. Yeah, it's true, we will, but we'll look back in about 3 months after we're hit with a 55-inch snowfall and say, see, remember how nice it was in mid-September? I told you we'd pay for it. Here is the forecast from the National Weather Service. Still some patchy fog in parts of the Twin Tiers. You may encounter some patchiness in terms of fog for another hour or so. Otherwise sunny today, high 79. Mainly clear tonight, low 51. Sunny tomorrow, high 83. And sunny Friday, high 84. And believe it or not, I know you're going to say, Bob, I can't believe it. Believe it or not, forecast for Saturday and Sunday. Also sunny, with a high of 84 each day. Right now in downtown Binghamton, it's 52. That's 11 Celsius. Here at News Radio, WNBF, WNBF.com. So what do you think about the debate? Already we've had a couple of listeners weigh in with their thoughts. Yes, we want to know who won. We also want to know, should there be another debate? I already have stated my preference for more debates. Many more and longer. I know it's not going to happen, but that would be nice. So should there be more debates? And would you watch I guess this is a question, too. If they did a longer debate with no interruptions, would you actually watch that? I know. The average person is going to be saying, I don't want to watch that. Certainly not any longer than last night's debate. I thought last night's debate was handled quite professionally. The professionals at ABC News, I think they did excellent work. It's tough. It's tough. I've never had an opportunity to ask questions at a nationally televised debate, but I've asked some questions on radio and sometimes local TV debates. You know. I remember one time, I won't name the candidate, but one time it was clear the candidate didn't really like my question. He took a really dim view. So I just asked him a follow-up question. Then he took an even dimmer view. But that's how it goes. It's live TV. Don't blame me. Don't blame a journalist for asking a few questions. Beth from Binghamton writes, I felt Harris did a terrific job at the debate. She spoke clearly and with great intent. Unfortunately, her words do not match her record. I also agree David Muir was the real winner. Sadly, he was incredibly one-sided. I don't know if he really was one-sided. He did have to fact-check the one candidate who seemed to have not much of a grasp on certain facts. Hi, WNBF. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, okay. Sounds like somebody's trying to test out her phone, and it seems like it's working flawlessly. Like that phone, remember, well, we'll talk about this later in the program, that bizarre cell phone fire in Endwell. I thought I had heard it all, but I knew it was a cell phone fire, but until I got the details, I didn't realize how strange that cell phone fire was. That was one for the books. So maybe we'll talk about the bizarre Endwell cell phone fire, how something like that would happen. It's 10 o'clock. You're listening to WNBF. Joined by Albert Nocciolino, the founder of the Broadway Theater League, looking ahead to a new season. And Mr. Nocciolino, welcome back to Binghamton Now.
Good morning, nice to be with you.
I find it interesting that it's been nearly half a century since you founded the Broadway Theater League.
You had to bring that up, right?
It doesn't mean we're old. It means we're getting better.
No, I reflecting on that just this morning. I was talking to my daughter, and I thought, my goodness, I started this so many years ago. But, you know, Bob, I get credit for starting it, but the truth is that it was started long before. And there was a Broadway Theater League that used to be at the old Capitol Theater, and I was fortunate enough as a young man in junior high school to be part of a drama club that used to usher at those events. And then unfortunately we lost the Capitol Theater, and I went away to school and came back, and the Forum was renovated, and I thought, why don't we start it back up? So it had been around for many years before we brought it back to life.
Well, fortunately you did, and you make a point about how important it is for young people to be exposed to the arts at an early age because it can have a lifelong impact.
It's such an excellent point. You know, we understand and we know as an industry the role that arts can play in developing young people and what they do for them and the experience that they have. You know, in today's world, so many young people identify everything with a screen, whether it's a telephone or an iPad or a television. To be in a theater and to experience live entertainment and have that emotional connection and experience is something pretty special. And we find that when young people get to the theater for the first time, it becomes something they want to do again and again. And so you are so right. The arts are so important, not just what we do, but all the arts organizations, whether it's the symphony or the opera or the museum or the Goodwill Theater, all of those local arts organizations play such an important role in our community.
And live productions, whether we're talking about theatrical productions or even in this case, a live radio production, there's just something special, the spontaneity. There's a magic to something that's live and knowing that it is happening at this very moment. And this exact sequence, this production, what we're saying, what we're doing, this exact sequence is never going to happen again.
You're absolutely right. And if you think about it, Bob, it's a reflection of what we do every day when we interact with people on a daily basis in our workspaces, in our socialization, or in our schools. And it's wonderful if it can be carried over into what we do at our leisure time with the arts and entertainment. So you're absolutely right. Totally agree.
Tell us a bit about the new season here in Binghamton.
Well, we're excited. You know, it's a season that I think has something for everyone. We're really excited that we have a brand new show. There's Life and Times of the Temptations, a show called Ain't Too Proud. It opened on Broadway before COVID and then became a big hit and then toured the country. We got 12 Tony nominations, including Best Choreography. And, of course, if you remember the Temptations, they have all those great big hits, My Girl and Get Ready and Papa Was a Rolling Stone and on and on and on. But it's a story of their lives and how that great time in American musical history with Motown and how the Temptations became one of the biggest groups of all time. And it's really a fun show with a lot of history at the same time of the music industry.
And that'll be coming up in just over a month, October 22nd and 23rd.
Correct. And then we follow that with another new show, the Cher Show. I don't think we have to tell anybody who Cher is, but she has an incredible story as well. And to tell this story on the stage about Cher, that takes three different women playing her at different times in her life, from the Sonny and Cher era to when she became a star and then on to today. And it includes, of course, all the great hits. And most importantly, if we think about Cher, we always think about the extraordinary Bob Mackie costumes that she wore.
I was thinking, how many costumes will people see in February as part of the Cher Show?
So many, all designed by Bob Mackie, who was an extraordinary designer for years for many stars, including Cher. So another new show, another fun show. That's in February, Bob.
And then I see something in March is intriguing. Tell me about the Addams Family.
Well, the Addams Family is a bit of a classic now. You know, it's been around for a long time, but it's got a lot of new awareness with the television show Wednesday. It's been several years since we've had Addams Family here, and it's based on that crazy, beloved characters from Charles Addams, and everybody knows the story about the Addams Family. But it's a musical that we think the entire family will enjoy. This television show Wednesday is the third most watched show on Netflix, if you can believe it. So it's really delivered a brand new audience for a show that's been around for a long time. And we try so hard, and it's not easy to do that, to find shows that will bring families to the theater. And to your point, young people who, for the first time, will be introduced to live theater.
And then in spring, I know this seems like such a long way off now, but it's amazing how fast time actually goes. In early May, you have something that'll be really special for the community.
Yeah, the longest running American musical in Broadway history, and also in the West End in London, and that's Chicago. This is, again, a show that's returning. The winner of 6 Tony Awards, including Best Revival of a Musical. It's been seen by over 35 million people across the world. It's just what we like to refer to as a classic, a show, Bob, that can come back again and again. There's only a handful of those in our American musical theater library, if you will, that people want to see over and over again. And so we're excited that we can bring Chicago back. And so we think we have a nice season, a balanced season, a couple new shows and a couple that will be familiar, and a show that we think available for the entire family with the Addams Family.
If people are interested in more information about this upcoming season, or if they'd like to obtain tickets, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, we go online to BroadwayInBinghamton.com or call the Broadway Theater League office at 607-772-1391. I don't expect everybody to remember that number, but certainly we're online at Broadway in Binghamton, and you can find our phone number there as well. And we're happy to help you buy season tickets and join us for a great season of Broadway in Binghamton at the Forum.
Albert Nocciolino, always a pleasure. I hope you have a great day and certainly a great season.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your support. Great to be with you again.
Have a great day. It's 10:18. We're live on WNBF. We do it live. We do it live. I know sometimes you say, but do you have a script? Are you using a teleprompter? How do you do this day in and day out? A, I have no script. And B, I have no teleprompter. And C, I can't really explain how we manage to do this day in and day out. We've been doing this for over 13 years now. 607-772-1290 is the number. We'll be taking phone calls between now and noon on Binghamton Now at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, and stay connected with the free WNBF app. Beverly from the town of Dickinson, you're on the air.
Yep. I didn't call about the debate, though. I wanted to tell you about way back many years ago. Do you remember Farley Granger?
No, I don't.
He came to Binghamton, and he was in a play at the Masonic Temple called The Rainmaker.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I was there.
And did you find it intriguing, funny? Tell me what your thoughts were.
The story was actually about where he lived. They hadn't had any rain in months, and they were just praying that rain would come. And they had these people they called the Rainmaker, and I don't know what kind of ritual they did to pray for rain because, you know, the fields were all drying up and everything, and they just needed rain. So this guy, he was a rainmaker, and he came to town to help them get rain. It was a crazy story, but it was very old, in Masonic Temple of all places.
Well, was there a big crowd?
You know, I don't remember, but I think there was, because Farley Granger was a very famous star at the time, and so people really did follow him around. But of all places, the Masonic Temple, is that still alive?
Not really.
It's still down.
Well, they haven't torn it down. It just sits there. Somebody used a can of spray paint that they probably stole from someplace, and they scrawled something on the corner that says, "Let it rot." But it's still there. That building is now 101 years old, and it still is standing, but inside is a real mess. What it needs is someone to buy it and someone who can redevelop it, clean up the mess inside, and then start to redevelop it and bring it back to life, because it should have a good future at some point.
Back in the day, people had wedding receptions there.
Yeah, there were a lot of things
for venues there. It's sad to see it go downhill.
Yeah, it is disappointing.
That's it for today. I watched the debate, but no comment.
You're smart. Thank you, Beverly.
You have a good day.
You
Bye.
too. It's 10:24. Joe and Owego, good morning.
Good morning. I hate to put a blanket on a part of your conversation, but I've had more productive debates about Sunday dinner. Relative to a comment you made earlier about being able to sustain yourself over the years, don't pat yourself on the back, but you do have some talent. The main reason I called, the idea of tax and credits and incentives is becoming overwhelming. I look at the 23% federal tax, whatever they do to support the solar farms, the 30% tax, whatever they do to support solar farms from New York State, the $6,000 tax credit we heard last night, the $25,000 first-time payment, which comes out of the taxes, something added from the internet, a $500 refundable monthly tax credit line for people who make less than $100,000. And then, to top it off, on the headline here on the Epic Time for the August 28th to September 3rd edition, in communist Cuba, elderly left to struggle on $10 pensions, and that's $10 a month. That's a communist country. It's socialist, but we are headed in that direction in this country. A lot of stuff to think about, but I still appreciate the opportunity to share it with you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, and I would suggest to people who are looking for information, straight information. I just came in contact with this newspaper, the Epic Times, and it reminds me of the New York Times because it is just a wealth of a variety of information, none of which is reported in the major medias or the factual content. But anyway, Bob, have a good day. Don't throw your rotator cuff out patting yourself on the back, but you got a good program. Bye.
Thank you. It's 10:26 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Bob. It's DJ in Binghamton. How's everything going, brother?
Swell. What about you?
Oh, yeah, I'm blessed. Hey, listen, I wanted to talk about last night. I think Kamala did a very good job. When I was watching it, well, she was a district attorney and attorney general. She as a district attorney, she's spoken, hundreds of times, if not thousands. And she did a lot better than Hillary, but the scenario was different. He was like, he was stalking behind Hillary. That was funny. But I wanted to say about something that I saw in the 70s. It's not gross. Don't hang up. It's what he talked about, President Trump. In the 1970s,
Wait, hold on. You just said it's not gross.
No, the dog thing.
What? No, I can handle the truth. Go ahead. Continue. I thought you were going to gross me out with something. Well, I thought you were going to gross me out with something else. No, go for it, man.
You know I wouldn't do that.
I love hot dogs. Just there's that. I love hot dogs. So
I love hot dogs too. Too bad they don't have lamb dogs. But Bob, in the 1970s, mid-70s, I grew up in the 70s. My brother had a girlfriend who had a family. They moved around a lot. They moved to Johnson City, and she came over, and she was laughing and cutting up. We're like, what's going on? And she said, well, these Laotians moved from over there to Johnson City, and they were flicking the lights on and off all night because they never had lights. And she said, recently, dogs have been missing, and we believe they've been eating them. So could it be true? It sounds outrageous. And the way he says it with his hands, they're eating dogs, they're eating cats, and he's doing his hands like that. He looks like a crazy person. But it's really true. And whether it's happening or not, but Bob, on 60 Minutes, as did your other listeners because they've called in about it, we saw the Chinese coming over through that border on 60 Minutes. We saw people who eat dogs. In fact, in the Town Square Plaza, one of the Chinese restaurants was closed down because allegedly the health department found they were serving something questionable. We don't know what it was.
Well, hey, if you analyze any food at any restaurant, sometimes you have to ask questions about the sourcing and about what it really is. One thing, and this is slightly off topic, but it's at least worth mentioning, very high percentage of seafood that's sold in the United States is completely mislabeled as something else. A lot of cheaper fish are sold under different names that have a higher value. So mislabeling and misrepresentation, that's all part of the fun. That's, it's kind of like, I don't know, you go to a burger joint, you say, they say this is 100% pure American beef. I like how they say American, so you don't know, what do you mean? Or North American, so you don't know, is it from Mexico? Is it from Canada? Or is it actually from the U.S.? But anyway, hey, there's no way to know unless you have a lab, unless you're really, really skilled. There's no way to know what you're really eating.
That's true. And because you've heard and you're a reader and you're well read, that people that are wearing fur coat, and then you get we used to call them Eskimo coats with the fur lining. They found out that was cat from China. They're made in China.
Oh yeah. Well, who knows? And in the end, a lot of it's a societal thing. What's acceptable to me may be unacceptable to you and vice versa, and I don't have a problem with it.
Away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshopper, crunchy.
Yeah.
So there, it's all good.
That's wild.
Nobody forces you to eat grasshopper.
Right. Yeah, and I don't eat the sushi and the...
50 years ago,
lobster.
DJ, for your information, 50 years ago, they had a store over on Conklin Avenue, and they were selling horse meat. Did it bother me? No. Do I personally want to eat horse meat? No. But in going back 50 years ago, when inflation was out of control, and DJ, you think inflation's bad now, under the leadership of Republican Richard Milhouse Nixon, it was even worse. And that's why people in Binghamton, good people like our relatives, were forced to go to the Horseshoe Deli on Conklin Avenue to get some horse meat because it was about I don't know if it was 30% cheaper than beef at the time. You do what you have to do to feed your family.
He was my favorite president, but I called it Milhouse. But I called to say that, she did very well. She did good. I was surprised. She did good. But the thing is, when he started to talk about what he's done, he hands down. I'm not a hater. I'm a pro-lifer, and our only pro-life candidate is him. And
I wouldn't go that far, by the way. Are you aware of his entire record on that issue?
I am aware.
Okay, so I wouldn't put too much faith in what he's currently saying on that issue. He has been all over the road on this, and I believe in his heart where he stands on the issue was expressed back in the 70s and 80s before he jumped into the putrid swamp of politics.
Of course, he was pro-choice. He was a pro-choice.
He was not. Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. No, he was pro-choice. He still is pro-choice. The only reason that he has this nuanced position about leaving it up to the states is because he wants to win some of those states where this is a really, really big issue. And we're not talking about states like New York and California. There are states where he understands if he supported pro-choice across the board as the official national policy, he would probably lose some of those critical states.
But, Bob, you're not in his mind to say what he believes. You know what happened? Is on the first day, after he got sworn in with the Bible, and Paula White, America's pastor, prayed in the why they call her that, I don't know.
America's pastor. Wait a second. When was that election held?
He took $100 million from the. They were going to abort babies in New Mexico with your taxpayer dollars. He did take $100 million.
But who elected her America's pastor?
Who knows?
Okay, well then, in fact, that's just something apparently she decided to call herself. She's not America's pastor, no more than the Cowboys ever were America's team. Come on, man.
Bob, who elected me your favorite caller? Me. But check it out, man.
All right.
I just wanted to say Kamala did a good job. She did a
great job. She did an excellent job.
But she did way better than Hillary, but she didn't win because once he started talking about what he's done, that's it.
All right. Well, I will say, I'm not going to say that. 10:34. I'll say that next hour toward the end of the program. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Bob. Rob Brady, Oral Davis Fire Company president.
Hey, and well. How are things?
Haven't talked to you exactly. Haven't talked to you in a while. And I just wanted to remind you and the readers and the listeners that our 9/11 remembrance ceremony that we do every year is tonight at Highland Park in the lower park at the Remembrance Garden. And I don't know if you've ever been up there before. We've been doing it for quite a number of years. I think since over 20 years.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. It's a very moving ceremony. I almost think I was there last year. I'm just looking through my pictures to see.
It was raining last year.
It was. That's what I was going to say. It was a rainy day.
It was raining.
And I believe wasn't Sheriff Akshar there? Was he there? I think he was.
He wasn't. He didn't make it. I don't think he made it last year. He was going to, but I didn't think.
Well, maybe I'm thinking he was there another year, wasn't he?
He was there other years,
and
he should be there this evening. And we have just a few people, not a lot to speak and say a few prayers, a little invocation and benediction, and we got the main community band there, and we have a bagpiper, and it's just a nice place. It's a nice garden, and it's just a nice thing to do. I think a lot of people forget sometimes what the day is all about and what happened 23 years ago, right?
Yeah, 23 years ago. And what time will that start?
That starts at 6:30, promptly at 6:30 p.m. And you should come in the lower entrance of the park, which is right off, I think it's Alexander.
And tell people about the significance of the location. I mean, there is something very special there that...
Well, there absolutely is. There is an I-beam from the World Trade Center that the Town of Union was able to acquire. And so they put the Remembrance Garden together. The Tri-Cities Women's Club got the Parks and Recreation Department to help, and the Garden Club in Enwell helps. And together, they put that together. And we named there's 6 people in the program that had ties to our community that perished on that day, September 11th, 2001. And we remember that there were 4 locations, or there were 4, planes that hit the buildings, not just the World Trade Center, but the Pentagon and of course in Shanksville, Pennsylvania also.
Yep. It's such a sad day, and it's always important that we take time to remember what happened and those we lost, and also those whose lives were forever changed.
No, you're absolutely right, Bob. So just wanted to remind everyone that if they have a few minutes tonight to come up at 6:30 and see the remembrance ceremony.
Well, I would be there. I'll be there in spirit. Unfortunately, I have a conflict at that time. I have a meeting that I am committed to. But
no, I understand that.
Wish people the best.
There's a lot of things going on, but thank you very much. It's always good to talk to you and listen to the program, and we'll talk again.
Absolutely. Keep us posted.
Okay. Very good, Bob. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rob. It's 10:40 to 10:38 at News Radio WNBF, WNBF.com. We must never forget what happened on that Tuesday morning in September 2001. Morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning there, Bob. It's Dave from Vestal.
Good morning.
You there? Yeah, good morning. Hey, Bob, Bob, first of all, I'm calling in to admit that Harris presented herself better than I thought she would, Bob. I mean, she actually strung sentences together and made sense, and I was kind of surprised. Although she did lie an awful lot, more than him. I'm wondering, was Obama in her ear all that time, Bob? I mean, with today's technology, I wouldn't doubt something like that. Make her look good anyway.
She doesn't need help. She is a professional. She's not only a professional politician, she also, keep in mind, is a professional prosecutor. So she was in her element. She's dealt with felons before face to face. She was not in any way intimidated by facing a man who has been convicted of 34 felonies and perhaps could face additional felony counts in the future.
In a way, she was intimidated by it because she wouldn't answer questions that are very important to the public that they were waiting to hear. Remember, the first question they asked her, Bob, are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? She goes off on a tangent, ignores that question, wouldn't answer it because she knows the answer is no.
That's what you do. Trust me. Do you ever listen to this program when we have a guest? Have you ever heard people who are here answering questions and they're presented with a question they don't want to answer directly? It's called deflection. That's how you handle it. That's how a professional handles a question that you don't want to answer directly. You deflect. It's done all the time, and there's no shame in that. It's a tried and true tactic. If I ask you a question that you don't like, you may deflect.
But
but sometimes I always reserve my right. As a guy who loves to ask a few questions, I always reserve my right, if somebody deflects, to, as they say, circle back and try again.
Okay, why didn't they force her? But they forced Trump.
You can't force Kamala Harris to do something she doesn't want to do. It was clear. It was clear with that specific question about whether people are better off now than they were 4 years ago. She didn't want to answer that. David Muir, I think it was David Muir who actually posed the question. I think David Muir, even though I believe he's a product of public schools in the Syracuse area, he's smart enough to know that she wasn't going to answer that, even if he asked it 5 or 6 different ways. It wasn't going to be answered directly.
Bob, fact-checking and commenting on Trump's comments and his answers, he did that constantly to Trump, and so didn't she. They didn't do that to her at all, and she lied constantly, Bob. She lied all the time, saying that there'd be a bloodbath if he didn't win the election. He never said that. What a liar she is, Bob. Come on. He never said that at all.
Well, come on, man. What do you expect? It's a debate.
It's a lie.
In a debate, they take the gloves off. Hey, presidential debates are not for the faint of heart.
Bob, on all her flip-flops, did you notice she wouldn't answer when they asked her about that, too?
Well, hey, what is she supposed to say? Now, in 2024, weeks before the election, you support fracking in Pennsylvania. What is she supposed to say? Darn right I am. Makes no difference about her position in the past. It would be tantamount to political suicide for the Democratic candidate to go on live TV on September 10th, just weeks before the election, and pronounce that they are opposed to fracking in Pennsylvania. They need Pennsylvania to win. Trump needs Pennsylvania to win.
She wants to build a wall, too, now, Bobby.
Well, of course. And she wants Mexico to pay for it. I mean, come on, man. Hey, she's entitled to want a wall built by Mexico. At least when she's president, there's a chance it could happen. We saw what happened when he had his chance. The wall was never completed, and Mexico never paid a single peso.
How do you know?
I know because if Mexico paid any money toward the wall, the New York Post would have reported it.
He did it in taxes, Bob. He did it in taxes.
Oh, come on, man. That's disingenuous. We didn't want it done that way. We wanted cash on the barrelhead. We wanted gold bars to pay for the most beautiful wall.
We going to see you on the bridge Saturday, Bob?
Keep your eye open.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm glad they do it Saturdays now. And you know what? I got a good song perfect for that. Somebody should learn how to play Robin Trower's Bridge of Sighs. It fits perfectly.
All right. Maybe they'll do that. Hey, Dave, thank you for your call. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. It's 10:44 here at WNBF. More calls are coming up. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Binghamton Now on WNBF. As we continue to monitor the fast-evolving world situation. Yes, the world situation continues to evolve quickly. So never fear, we are here for you at News Radio, WNBF, with a live local talk program still after all these years. WNBF has been doing this sort of thing, it seems, for almost a century. Not quite as long as the Masonic Temple has been with us. I think WNBF took to the air about 4 years after they opened the Masonic Temple on Binghamton's west side. A look at the forecast. Sunny today, 79. Mostly clear tonight, 54. Sunny tomorrow, 82. Sunny Friday, 83. Sunny Saturday, 84. Sunny Sunday, 83. Mostly sunny Monday, 82. Mostly sunny Tuesday, 81. So look at that. A 7-day forecast where the takeaway is sunny each day. And temperatures either in the upper 70s or low to mid 80s. Nice way to end summer. Right now it's 58 in downtown Binghamton. That is 14 Celsius. Air quality is good. For those who keep track of the air quality index this morning, for Binghamton it's 31. It's 10:49 here at WNBF, my favorite radio station. Remember, coming up later today, more favorites. Dan Bongino from noon to 3. Sean Hannity from 3 to 6. We'll see what their independent thinking can bring us. I know, you said, Bob, their independent thinking. What do you mean? What do you mean? Good point. So, looking back, since Beverly brought up about the legendary Farley Granger back in Binghamton, so I decided to go through the newspaper archives, and Farley Granger appeared at the Masonic Temple in 1955. So I'm looking at a picture of Farley Granger. I don't know that I ever saw Farley Granger until just now. So he looks like he was quite the handsome performer. Farley Granger. And he was in Binghamton, it appears, in August 1955. They had a little preview story because it was the final week of the Triple Cities Playhouse, and Farley Granger arrived performing, as Beverly mentioned, Rainmaker, a comedy. It says it's a 6-day finale for the 1955 season of the Triple Cities Playhouse. The headline in the Sunday press said, "Farley Granger's here tomorrow, girls." It says he is the curly-headed idol of thousands of female movie fans. So there were 6 performances of The Rainmaker at the Masonic Temple before they closed the place down, before it looked like a dump. Yeah, I'm sorry to have to say it looks like a dump, but no, I've seen dumps actually that look better. Apparently, Farley Granger was big. There were, back in 1955, there were plenty of Farley Granger-related stories in the Binghamton newspaper. So, I guess he was bigger. Not sure who he would be comparable to today. Maybe comparable to Drake. Kidding. Let's go back to the big stack of stuff in the aftermath of the smoldering remains of the best debate ever. So the 2 candidates did debate in Philadelphia. The Republican candidate repeated debunked claims about the Democratic candidate's campaign events after she claimed his supporters leave his rallies early out of what she called exhaustion.
People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there.
And forcing them to eat hot dogs and hot cats. Oh, my gosh. Are they going to do Saturday Night Live this week? I don't think the Saturday Night Live season is underway yet. They ought to start it early. We need Saturday Night Live. I was looking at portions of the debate last night, and if you didn't know better, seriously, if you didn't know better, if you just tuned in, nobody had told you what day it was or anything, say you just got up after a long slumber and you turned on the TV and you saw what was going on, you could easily have mistaken some portions of that presentation from Philadelphia last night as Saturday Night Live. I mean, at one point I'm saying, is that Alec Baldwin? I thought he quit that. Because it definitely, and I'm sorry to mention it, at times it just seemed that I was watching Alec Baldwin and Kamala Harris. And it's like, this can't be. This can't be. Did Lorne Michaels approve this? Running a special episode of Saturday Night Live on a Tuesday. Hi, WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Dan from Binghamton, Bob. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, I just wanted to say we heard from a few Republicans today that seemed pretty angry and I would say incoherent, only because Miss Harris supposedly had one lie, and they got Trump on 34 lies. And I don't know, something about dogs and cats, and I don't know what he's going to do now with Taylor Swift is on his case.
He'll have to shake it off.
Yeah, he'll shake it off, all right. But one thing.
Oh, I know what you meant by that. Continue.
Yeah, there's a lot more Republicans for Harris today than there was yesterday. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, even Richard Cheney, who once was a vice president, who up to his endorsement of Kamala Harris, before that, his main claim to fame was shooting his buddy on a hunting trip.
Oh, my God. And you know, the whole thing is that when people really listen, and, you know, instead of being emotional about the whole thing, you know, Trump really, you know, he's got too many friends in bad places that don't do America any good. Again, Bobby, I wish I had more to say, but...
I think you said it all. I think your short call summarized the feelings of the American electorate. I appreciate it.
As a plumber, I got a lot of things going on here.
All right. Hey, I'll let you go. I appreciate your call. Thank you for checking in. We've got more calls coming up. We are taking the pulse of the American people here the day after a most remarkable debate. More calls are coming right up on Binghamton Now. Can't wait for your call. 607-772-1290. It's Wednesday, and we are very pleased to be here documenting what really goes on. Yeah, if we weren't here to document it, no one else would probably. Had a fun viewing party. It was spontaneous. I had not planned to view the debate with a focus group, but it's just one of those things. I've never had it happen before, and perhaps it'll never happen again. My plan was just to watch the debate and take copious notes so I could give you some insights into the special face-off between the Republican and Democratic presidential candidates. That was the plan. But before I knew it, we had assembled a focus group, and somebody had ordered pizza, and there you go. We were sitting there watching the whole thing in real time. Hey, why not? Why not? So pizza and presidential debates, perfect together. So hopefully you were able to enjoy some pizza or something. No, we had Speedies. You had pizza. We had Speedies. So let's see. Just looking at a couple images. I took a couple of quick images off the monitor during our viewing party. So the first image I put on Twitter, and it shows the Republican candidate actually making a forceful point. It was a nice image. I'm impressed. He looked very presidential, and then the Democratic candidate on the right side of the screen, she had kind of a look. I mean, it was sort of a neutral look, but you look in her eyes, and sometimes the eyes tell the tale. In her eyes, you got the sense she didn't believe what the guy was saying. Anyway, it was a nice image, though. I mean, it's not, no thanks to me. I just happened to be watching the ABC News debate and just snapped a picture and thought, that's a pretty accurate image early in that debate. Let's take a call.
Yeah.
Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Paul from West Windsor.
Oh, welcome back, my friend, to the show that never ends until noon.
I'm waiting for other people to call in, but I wanted to say, I forgot to say what Bernie Sanders had to say about the whole thing.
Oh, good, because I didn't hear that he said anything. What was the Bernie Sanders opinion?
He was asked why she was flip-flopping back and forth on her values. He said that she was saying what she had to say in order to win, but her values haven't changed. She's pretty much, if she gets elected, she'll probably pretty much like Bernie Sanders, I'm thinking.
Well, of course. That's, I don't know if that comes as a surprise to you. I would say every candidate says what he or she must say in order to win. That's the whole point.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I think so. Wait, you tell me, you name one presidential candidate in your lifetime who didn't tell the public one thing to get elected and then go ahead and do something else.
Trump is very truthful, and he tries.
He may be very truthful in his mind, but in practice, he's not very truthful. He didn't get the military personnel out of Afghanistan like he said he would. He didn't get the wall finished and have Mexico pay for it. I mean, there are a multitude of things that he said to get elected, and then once he was president, he didn't follow through on.
When he lost the election, so he couldn't do it the way he wanted.
Hey, he didn't say when he was running in 2016, when he defeated Hillary Rodham Clinton, he didn't say during the campaign, I'm going to try to start a few things. These are things that I'm going to do. He didn't say, these are things that I plan to do over the next 8 years. There was never that stipulation.
When there was $100 billion of weapons there, how do you expect him? He had a plan, and he didn't. His time as president ran out.
Well, then he mismanaged. He had a poor use of time. You know, one of the biggest things, whether you're running a radio program or a great nation like the USA, is time management. You have a certain amount of time, and you'd better use it wisely.
Well, maybe you could have used it wisely better, but losing the election is the worst thing that happened to us.
Well, says you. I'll say this. I can tell you this show would be twice as good every day if they would only give me 6 hours. But you know what? They allocate 3 hours in the broadcast schedule, so I have to try to make the best use of the 3 hours. If for some reason I promise at the start of the program, or say the day before, that I promise on tomorrow's program I'm going to bring you Joey Chestnut to explain why hot dogs taste so good. And then because I'm not paying attention to the clock, then it's like 11:59 and I didn't get Joey Chestnut on. I can't say, oh, what I need is another 3 hours because I frittered away the time I was given No, I know at the start of the program how much time I have, and if I want to accomplish something, I have to do it in that amount of time. Now, fortunately for me, at least so far, I've always been able to come back the next day. I haven't been fired by 81 million people. So that's the whole thing. I've never been fired. So I don't know never been fired by one person, so I have no idea how painful it must be to be fired by 81 million people.
We need you.
Thank you. Anyway, by the way, thanks for your patience. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for calling in. I always appreciate your viewpoints, and I'm encouraging, and I know you're encouraging other people to call in.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and thank you. And I encourage other people to call in. See, I misjudged. I guess I was under the impression that with all the buildup, and I know it's the liberal media just trying to get people whipped into a frenzy because we need listeners, we need viewers, we need clicks. So, of course, the liberal media will do that. But still, it was a debate, and based on a limited sampling of people I spoke with, they thought it was a good debate. So I thought inevitably that the lines would melt down with people wanting to offer their insights into what they saw or what they heard and their hopes and their dreams and their aspirations. But unfortunately, it's not to be. So we'll just maybe what this means is because of the apparent apathy of the American people, maybe they should just forget about it. No more debates, no more campaigning. Just pretend that the campaigns are over. No more promotion of Election Day. Just allow people to go about their early voting on schedule or go about their voting on Election Day as scheduled, but no more hype, no more coverage, because apparently most Americans are apathetic. It's 11:20. This is Bob Joseph live here at News Radio, WNBF 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. Bob Joseph live on WNBF, a friend to all. Good morning, Jesse and Owego. You're on the air.
Yeah, you know what, Bob? The more I think about it, I thought it was a very healthy debate.
I thought it was fantastic. I don't think anyone really has anything to gripe about. I don't think the candidates have any reason to gripe. I don't think the moderators have any reason to gripe. I don't think any of the viewers. I thought it was about as close to presidential debate perfection as you could get.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I outside of Thomas Liddis, now there's not a politician out there in the world that I could ever trust anymore, but the art of the debate itself, that's what really intrigues me. I mean, they're always going to tell us what we want to hear. As for their actions, that's
and that's the beauty of it, because you pay attention to both candidates, and that's why it was helpful, because they do research. They have researchers who find out what we want to hear, and that's why it was so instructive, because what we heard from both candidates last night is what their research shows we want to hear. So it's helpful. It's sort of like they're holding up a mirror to the electorate, so we get to better know who we are.
I wish more people would get into, or I wish the schools and colleges would learn something like this. Learn the power of the debate, public speaking. I mean, it can go so much further, because, I mean, yesterday to me was very educational. I was just like, this is really cool. I mean, they were both kind of like on the edge, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. I can understand both of them being somewhat nervous. First, Kamala Harris, because this was her first ever presidential debate. And then Donald Trump, even though he has participated in several presidential debates before, this was far different from that joke of a debate he experienced in late June on CNN, where basically Joe Biden sent the message to America and the world that he is no longer able to fulfill the responsibilities of the job. And by the way, there's no shame in that. It's perfectly natural. At some point, all of us are going to be in a position where we have to realize that we are incapable of doing the job that we've been able to do. It's just it's natural. If Joe Biden was able to be as sharp as he was today as when he was 30, then we would know he had been replaced by AI. So what it shows is he's a human. He's not a perfect human, but as considering how difficult it was to grow up in a place like Scranton and still manage to make something of yourself, especially when you're dealing with Corn Pop and characters like that. I mean, the guy is an American success story. He serves as an inspiration to each of us. That even a guy from Scranton, Pennsylvania can go on to become the most powerful person on the planet. Yeah.
You know what? I wish I would have been there with your focus group. I think I would have had a field trip.
Oh, you would have. Well, you would have. It was quite the group, my friend. If you know what I mean. You know what we should have done? We should have, and again, this was not planned in advance. If we had planned it in advance, we could have set up a couple of cameras and then put together one of those things like some of the news channels do and say, well, this is sort of a focus group, and you get sort of the real reactions of people as they watch the candidates during a debate. But this was something, honestly, it was cobbled together, I would say, less than an hour, about an hour before the debate. This was not something was planned. It was purely spontaneous. And I have to say, I regarded it as a major success.
You know what? That's when the best things happen, Bob, is when things are unplanned. It just comes together in an instant, and you just run with it.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, like, say, on weekends. Or whatever, or even nights, like during the summer. You have nothing really planned. And then you think of something, you just call somebody, not even knowing if they're busy or whatever, and you say, hey, sounds like one of my actual conversations. Hey, you want to go get ice cream? Or, hey, want to go have one of those triple slick shakes or whatever. And it's like, well, sometimes people are otherwise engaged, or sometimes they say, yeah, let's do it. And that's the most fun. Something, or vice versa, somebody will call me, hey, Bob, doing anything? And, of course, most of the time it's like, yeah, not really. Doing research for tomorrow's program is usually it. Well, could you possibly stop your important research for tomorrow's program and let's go out and do something tonight? It's like, let's say there's a band playing. One of those bands that plays, say on a party deck, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully last night, Bob, there was a few IPAs involved.
I'm unable to discuss that aspect.
Okay. Well,
what I will confirm, however, I can confirm that there was delicious pizza. And, sadly, for those who are affiliated with PETA, it's the type of pizza that PETA would not endorse. But,
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Yeah, well, I wasn't doing anything to try to irk anybody. It was just, hey, I didn't even order the pizza. But it was fine. Yeah. Everybody had a good time. Everybody discussed some of the nuances of what we had seen. And everybody agreed that it was time well spent.
That's all that matters. And by the way, Lockheed Martin here in Owego, they have issues with geese all the time, and they hire people out with dogs to get rid of them all the time. I think they could come up with another idea, but I don't dare say.
No, Broome County tried that once.
Yeah.
It didn't go, just between you and me, it didn't go over well.
I didn't think so.
No, it was, somebody said that was politically incorrect.
That's just like that vehicle that tipped over that couldn't tip over, I know.
Oh, the guy from News 10 Now. Larry Bud Melman, when he was reporting for News 10 Now, he got the guy at that photo op for Lockheed Martin They got a soundbite. And this vehicle is so fun and so good that it's virtually impossible to tip over. And then about 6 minutes later, they let Larry Bud Melman from News 10 Now drive it. First of all, why would you let a reporter drive an expensive piece of military equipment? It was a prototype vehicle that they had developed there at Owego because they wanted a lucrative military contract. You don't let somebody like me behind the wheel just minutes after you said it can't tip over so he can, part of the liberal media proving that, yes, I can tip it over.
Well, the only thing he had to do was reword what he was saying. Yes, these things can tip over, but give it a drive and take a look and test drive it and see what it's going to take to make it tip over. It's a lot,
Well, and see, that's the thing. Actually, they should have set it up with the guy from News 10 Now. And, of course, it'd be unethical on the part of the journalist, but still it'd be fun video. Well, they could disclose it at the end of the report that this was actually something that was orchestrated as part of this demonstration for the media. But they could say something for the buildup when the guy was talking about his fine vehicle that they wanted to sell to the U.S. military. They could say, we have worked for years to develop this prototype vehicle that eventually we hope will be chosen by the U.S. military. But we also understand how important it is to put it through its paces because testing here on our proving ground in Owego is critical to make sure that the warfighters who ultimately might use this vehicle are safe. And we are committed to continually testing this and refining this vehicle before we provide it to our warfighters. And then they could say, so we invite the proud members of the liberal media now to go out on our test track and put this vehicle through its paces because this is going to be part of our overall testing project to make the vehicle the best it can be.
I agree.
That would have been a success. And they would have gotten special coverage on the CBS Evening News because it would have been visually stunning, and they would have said, David Martin from CBS News, the Pentagon correspondent at the time, would say, they could even have invited David Martin from the Pentagon to come up to Owego and try to take it for a test spin and say, yes, I was unable to flip it as hard as I tried, but this young upstart reporter, Larry Bud Melman from News 10 Now, the cable outlet in Binghamton, somehow managed to do it. And here's the video. And Lockheed Martin engineers now are using the information gleaned from this test to make adjustments to the vehicle to ensure its safety for our warfighters.
I agree. You know what? They should have also they should have invited Les Wagner because he's got amphibious vehicles. So.
That's true. And he's not that far away.
That's right.
just down the road. Les, come here.
Yeah. You put this all together, it would have been better than NASA.
Yep. Good times, man. Good times. But have you noticed, by the way, and this is just between you and me, have you noticed now Lockheed Martin never has any more photo ops and they don't want reporters there anymore?
I was at their last one before it got canceled, and nope, now no one's allowed.
Nope. One time I went and took pictures, not on their property because I know better. I'm not going to take a chance by ever taking pictures on their property, but on the perimeter where you could see an angle of one of their new signs, and somebody saw me taking a picture, and it's like, what you doing, Willis? It's like, taking a picture? What do you think this is, North Korea? Well, this is America. You can't take pictures.
Oh, yeah.
You're a member of the press. There's no freedom of the press here. If you want freedom of the press, you go to Castro's Cuba or you go to Putin's Russia. Stop taking pictures of our Lockheed Martin signs.
Wow.
One time I did that. This is true. There was an actual media event at that site when they were still allowed, and as I was leaving, Jesse, honestly, this is the whole truth. So as I was leaving, I was taking a picture of the beautiful, the legendary the amazing, the iconic Lockheed Martin logo on the side of the building. And some guy, some executive, started yelling at me. And it's like, you guys, not him personally, but you people invited reporters here for a dog and pony show, a photo op, and then as I'm leaving, I'm not taking pictures of any secret thing, not the blueprints for the presidential helicopter. I'm taking a picture. He could see I was taking a picture of the iconic Lockheed Martin logo with the blue star, and he starts yelling at me. It's like, he said, don't you ever do that again. And I said, don't worry. I'm never going to do that again because I'm never coming back here again.
Well, I'm very curious who that was.
Yeah.
Probably someone I know.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know why. You would think that he would have said, Bob, thank you for taking a beautiful picture of our logo. We're so proud of our logo, and we're so pleased to show you around. Would you like a chocolate chip cookie? But no. So I'm, you know, I fortunately he didn't call the security. Can you imagine if this executive who was yelling at me for taking a picture of the logo that is actually even visible from the roadway, it just so happened I was driving past in my official, this is when I was driving officially the WNBF Newsmobile, so there was no way, at least I think I was. Anyway, he knew I was media. He knew I hadn't just somehow slithered onto their private property near their presidential helicopter building. But I couldn't help but believe that if only the people who had orchestrated the media event had seen the way this guy behaved, that he probably would have gotten a slap on his wrist.
Well, my question is, did he know who you are?
I don't. Well, when he started yelling at me, I don't think he did. But no. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I identified myself, and I told him we were just here at the media event. I'm heading back to Binghamton to put out a big positive story about Lockheed Martin, and I wanted one more photo so we would have another angle of the beautiful and award-winning Lockheed Martin logo. And, you know, he made me feel like I was a criminal.
I don't understand that because all you're doing is trying to get the word out.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
and my experience, by the way, with everybody else from Lockheed Martin in Owego has always been positive. Everyone. They've been gracious. They've been helpful. They've been professional, except for that guy. And it's like, whatever. Don't worry, I'm not coming back. There's no need for me to come back and do positive stories about Lockheed Martin. I can stay in my newsroom in the safety of Binghamton where I don't have to be harassed and harangued by some do-gooder. Of course, wait, I just thought of it now, though, Jesse. Maybe he was just having a bad day.
Well, yeah, because no matter where you go, there's always one bad.
Well, and let's face it, I didn't know. Maybe 10 minutes earlier he had to deal with some bad person, like a really bad person who shouldn't have been there. So maybe that's why he was already not happy. So I didn't consider that. Maybe something had happened earlier in the morning that made him, shall we say, less than enthusiastic about people being at his workplace. Maybe he thought I was working for Putin.
Nothing against my prior job. I worked for the state. Try working there today. It's 50 times worse.
I want a job with the state. I'm going to check. I want to check sometime if they would hire me. Can you imagine if I ever applied for a job at the state?
No.
Well, first of all, you know my name is on a master list. So if I ever, for whatever reason, and I honestly can't imagine what reason, but if for whatever reason I wanted a job with New York State, I bet my name is on the master list. I bet I couldn't get any job at any level with any department or agency in New York State.
Haven't you heard all them PSAs for state hirings? They are begging for people that work.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And, you know, I'm sure we're on the cusp of hearing from DOT that they need plow operators because plowing season is just around the corner. That'd be fun for me. You know, they desperately need people to help with snow removal in the winter. So it'd be interesting if I applied what they would say. Oh, no.
Well,
no, we need lots of plow operators, bub, but we don't need you.
In case you get fired, Bob, you could always do public information officer.
Do you think they would hire me to do that?
Sure. You could take over Dave Hamburg's job. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you'd give it a lot of character because that's what they need.
I think I would be good at it. I even have a picture back when Dave Hamburg was the local public information officer. We went out to a job site. I think it's when they were doing the 1781 connector project at Mount Prospect. Dave Hamburg actually, while we were on the job site, gave me a DOT helmet. So I have a picture already of me wearing a DOT helmet and looking really official.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There we go.
So there you go. Anyway, thank you, Jesse.
You have a great day. Be good, be safe.
1140 at News Radio, WNBF with Bob Joseph. This is a reality show. You can be part of our reality on this Wednesday morning, 607-772-1290. Still time to talk about the best debates ever televised on American TV. It's 11:43. Coming up from noon to 3, Dan Bongino from 3 to 6, Sean Hannity. It's all for you on WNBF and WNBF.com. A judge has been disbarred. Do tell. I know you're thinking, what, in New York? Now, this particular story is Colorado. Linda Stanley. Oh, she's not a judge. She's a district attorney. The judicial district attorney was disbarred by the Colorado Supreme Court. So, she lost her job. This is according to KRDO TV. The news operation obtained public documents that showed the Colorado regulators that discipline attorneys are recommending that the district attorney, Linda Stanley, be appropriately disciplined for misconduct. Well, these things happen. Well, I know some people are saying, well, everybody makes mistakes, which is true. Everybody does make a few mistakes. So, as far as the moderators with the debate last night, I did think that they did well. It's never perfect. You're always going to have people complaining about something. I mean, it's human nature. But I think Lindsay Davis and David Muir overall did well. I know I'm looking here at Fox News, and they're griping, or appear to be griping, that they fact-check Trump 5 times and fact-checked Harris 0 times. Well, maybe some of the prevarications on one side of your screen, maybe they were more obvious to Lindsay Davis and David Muir. It's one of the toughest things, I think, with whether it's a debate or a live interview, and I've been involved with, of course, thousands of live interviews and maybe by now dozens of debates that are live. Trying to fact check when you're live on the radio or TV it's risky. It's really risky. And I have to say that when you're trying to fact check, whether it's an interview or during a debate, there's always a risk that you will wind up making a mistake with your fact checking. I mean, it could happen. And to be sure, sometimes it does. So sometimes, and that's why occasionally during interviews, say if someone makes a statement or responds to a question with something that doesn't seem 100% accurate, sometimes I'm reluctant to say, wait a second. Because you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to say, oh, what you just said was inaccurate. What the real deal is this, and then come to find out, even though you thought you knew that you had command of all the facts here, then it turns out you were wrong. So, fact checking, I know some people want it all the time in debates. Some people don't want any of it. They just want the candidates to say whatever it is they wish during the debate, and if there's going to be fact checking, it should be done afterwards. So it's sort of one of those things. You can't win. Darned if you do and darned if you don't. It's 11:48. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Bob. It's Rob in Fort Crane.
Hey, what's up?
I watched it. Hey, I watched that debate last night, and it was he clearly won. She lied so much. She lied through her teeth. But I got up this morning and I thought, well, let's see what the internet says. So I went on and I saw 4 stories from the local things, and every single story said the same thing, and it was about the people eating their pets comment. So, they all said, that didn't happen, and even Kamala there was waving her arms and getting all crazy when he said that. So I went and looked at Springfield, Ohio's city council meeting, and I saw firsthand accounts of people saying, this one woman said her neighbor's daughter lost her cat. So she came home from work at 2 o'clock. She looked over to neighbors who were Haitians, and it was hanging from the tree like you hang a deer.
And they had pictures? They had pictures of it? They had proof.
This is a city council meeting.
Yeah, anybody.
These people aren't allowed to bring pictures.
Well, anyway, I'll just say this. I'll just say this. I've been to city council meetings before, and I know at most city council meetings, people can say whatever they want, whether it's true or not.
Well, it's numerous people, Bob, that are reporting the same things. So I don't think a whole lot of people are lying when these people are used to eating anything that they can catch. So, face it, if you put 20,000 Haitians that don't know anything about our country except that, we're the great Satan, you put a bunch of them here with 58,000 people, and there's elderly people. There was one woman, she was 65 years old. She couldn't even get in the Social Security office to sign up for her retirement. She said there was a line of Haitians out the door and down the street. So her and her husband are going to sell their house they've had for 45 years because they can't stay there anymore. These people that don't speak English are screaming at them in their front yard. They're throwing mattresses. They're throwing garbage at these people's houses. Here's what we paid taxes for. This is why we have a government. And Kamala, this Harris and Joe Biden, they made a mess out of this country, and Donald Trump was right.
And if he's right, then he's going to get his job back, even though 81 million people fired him in 2020. If he's right, he'll get his job back, and then he can clean up whatever needs to be cleaned up. We can look forward to that. The one thing I should point out, the police in Springfield, Ohio, said they have received no reports related to pets being stolen and eaten. So if the cops haven't received any reports, the people at the Springfield city offices as well as Clark County They say rumors of pets or wildlife being eaten by Haitian immigrants had zero verified reports of specific claims. So again, I can't help it if some people are saying something happened, but they didn't file a police report, or if people claim these things are happening, but the city and county officials haven't been able to verify a single claim.
They're afraid, Bob.
Afraid of who?
To death.
Afraid of what? Who? This is America. You have the right to speak.
Of 20 Haitians.
20 Haitians aren't going to do anything. If 20 Haitians actually did what they claim, they wouldn't even be ashamed of it. They'd be like, yeah, that's what we do. That's how we were raised. And if it bothers you, well, here's another thing. And I have no reason, again, at this point to believe it's happened, but here's another thing that should be reinforced. That if you have a dog or a cat, keep it inside. Or if it's outside in the yard, keep your eye on it. That's the whole point. You wouldn't put a kid out there in the yard without keeping your eye on it. If you have a dog or a cat or any other kind of pet and you let the pet outside, keep your eye on it.
I agree, Bob. I hunt. I've seen foxes drag people's cats away, you know.
Yeah, I've heard that it happens. Fortunately, I've never seen it, but I definitely have heard that, house domesticated animals can be, hey, that's nature at its best. I don't like it, but it's nature, and I understand it. So it could also be an eagle. An eagle could be hungry, and you got your little kitty cat or your little doggy or little ferret. Well, if the eagle's hungry, it's not personal. It's just hungry.
Well, Bob, if I could, back to the point, you need to go on Rumble. I know you.
I'm not going to go. Rob, you know me better than that. I'm not going to go on the Rumble.
Watch.
I am not going to go on the Rumble.
These people. Well, then don't.
No, I won't. But you can. You don't need my permission. You're already on the Rumble.
If you're that afraid of the truth,
I don't want the Rumble. I'll get my stories elsewhere, but I have low confidence in the Rumble. But I know lots of other people like the Rumble, and even Dan Bongino likes the Rumble. Hey, go for it. If you're a Rumbler, enjoy Rumble. I'm not.
BitChute too, Bob.
Which?
BitChute is really good too if you want truth, but you know that's not your thing. You're a press, and you know your job is to change the subject and talk over people so they can't try to get their points across. But I got a few across, but people need to go watch that Springfield, Ohio City Council meeting.
Well, they could watch whatever they want. Hey, that's.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Well, they should. But you know, don't be.
Well, it's going to be
Don't be disappointed in me that I'm not going to go on the Rumble. I've been consistent from the minute. From the minute I heard about Rumble, I knew it was not designed for me. It was designed for you.
That wasn't the point.
I know, but at least I've been consistent. At least I acknowledge I will not go on Rumble. You know, don't think poorly of me just because I refuse to go on Rumble. Go for it. Millions of people do.
Bob, you've also been consistent because you've said to numerous people numerous times that we should let all of them into the country. Well, congratulations. You and the Democrats share the blame in all these rapes, robberies, and everything else. Congratulations. Great job, press.
Great job, press. Sorry, the press doesn't have a newsroom anymore. It's 11:55 at WNBF, and the press is not complicit. Sorry, reporters, journalists are not complicit in violent crimes. If you are frustrated, and many people are, if you are disgusted, and many people are, if you're angry, and many people are, don't take out your frustrations on the few journalists who are left. The few, the proud, the brave. The few journalists who haven't been fired yet. Notice I say yet. At some point, for those of you who despised journalists. At some point, you'll get your way, and all the journalists who you really dislike will probably be out on the street, unemployed. And then you're going to wonder, gee, I wish we had some news. I wish we had some people reporting some stuff on our community. It wasn't perfect, but at least we had some inkling of what was going on around here. Remember, the media, such as it is, right now in its really wobbly state, it's a product of human endeavor. So it's not going to be perfect. Nothing involving people will ever be perfect. But most journalists strive to do a good job reporting things accurately, even in the face of adversity, even knowing that at any given time they could be out of work. They still move forward, reporting the best they can, trying to deal with sources or deal with governments that frequently don't want to release information or want to put as many hurdles in obtaining information as possible. So reporters are doing their best. At some point, the reporters you despise will probably be out of work and you'll have no news. Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Bob from Binghamton. How are you?
Good. Be quick. We have just a few seconds.
I was just wondering about the guy with the two headless geese.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wish we had more time. We would be able to go into that. Unfortunately, the program has come to an end. But don't worry. I'll be back tomorrow morning from 9 to noon for another live local episode of Binghamton Now. True reality radio. Only on WNBF.